This story is titled, "My Mom Asked Me to Write Her Birthday Card, so I got creative, now she thinks I hate her. My siblings are fighting over who loves her more, and I'm blocked by everyone but Grandma." It started like all disasters in my family do, with brunch plans and subtle emotional warfare disguised as a group chat. The message read, "Hey kids, I'm thinking birthday brunch this year. Quiche, fresh fruit, mimosas. I'll make everything, don't worry. Love you all so much." Translation: if you make me do this alone, I will cry in a very public and manipulative way, possibly in front of the neighbors. That's my mom, Barbara, 61F. Retired guidance counselor, full-time guilt artisan. She has the tone of someone who's never yelled but always knows when you're disappointing her. She can suck the joy out of a holiday like a Dyson vacuum on Black Friday. Then there's my older brother, Mark, 33M, dad bod in denial, 2 kids, works in finance, and always looks like he just gave a TED talk about personal branding. He once gave our mom a framed quote that said, "Behind every great man is a mother who believed in him." Gag. Mom cried. Naturally. My sister Rachel, 28F, is basically the human embodiment of an Instagram before and after ad for mental health. Therapist. Candle person. Has a cat named Juniper who gets Christmas stockings. She still refers to mom as mama sometimes. I try not to think about it too hard. And then there's me, Jonah, 30M. Freelance writer, read. Occasionally broke, emotionally fluent but inconvenient at dinner parties. Current champion of saying the quiet part out loud. I'm the one they send memes to when they want to feel edgy. I'm also the only one who brings boxed wine to holidays and calls out passive aggression like I'm hosting a TED Talk called "Stop Weaponizing the Green Bean Casserole." Anyway, Mom's birthday is approaching. She's one of those people who doesn't want a big fuss, while simultaneously planning themed table settings and stress baking her feelings into 5 varieties of muffin. This year's brunch is apparently French country, which I think just means lavender-scented depression. Group chat's been on fire all week. Rachel wants to make a vision board as a gift, kill me. Mark's talking about surprising her with spa vouchers, and Mom keeps replying to everything with, "That sounds lovely. But seriously, no pressure." Right. I haven't even responded yet. Mostly because I know exactly how this ends, with Rachel crying, Mark posturing, Mom sighing dramatically while pretending she's so overwhelmed by love, and me showing up with the wrong kind of flowers and a bottle of off-brand Prosecco. But this year's different. Because this year, I agreed to help out. I said yes to one tiny request. Just one. Mom asked me to write her birthday card. And I said sure. God help me. You'd think planning brunch for your mom's birthday wouldn't feel like assembling a nuclear device blindfolded. But in my family, it's less celebration and more season finale. The group chat, Fam Bam, was buzzing like a swarm of emotionally manipulative bees. Rachel. I was thinking of making Mom a memory jar. We each write a special moment with her, and she reads one every day this year. Mark. I'm buying her a spa package. Real one. Not a Groupon. Let's set the bar, people. Mom, of course, jumped in. OMG, you guys. That's too much. I literally just want to see your faces. And maybe a small fruit tart. Maybe. Not a big one. Just a slice. With that glaze. From that place. You know the one. Which is code for, if I don't get exactly what I imagined but didn't clearly articulate, I will implode in soft tears and then clean something loudly while humming sad 80s ballads. I offered nothing. I stayed silent. I had already agreed to write the card, and in my mind, that was a perfectly respectable contribution. Emotional labor disguised as a cute little folded rectangle? That's peak efficiency. But Rachel wasn't having it. She sent me a private message. You're writing the card, right? Just make sure it doesn't get too dark. Too dark. I replied. You mean honest? She left me on read. Mark chimed in later with, Mom's been through a lot this year. Just keep it light. Light? As in ignore the 6 emotional sinkholes that are just part of having Barbara as a mother? It's not like I planned to write. Thanks for the codependency and generational trauma. In calligraphy. But the idea that I couldn't even express myself in a damn birthday card without a family tone policing committee made my teeth itch. Meanwhile, Mom kept texting Pinterest screenshots of table settings and drink menus with captions like, just ideas. Not expecting anything. Followed by 5 heart emojis and a lemon tart recipe. By midweek, she had a whole spreadsheet labeled B-Day brunch vibe with tabs for music cues, serving order, and seating to minimize drama. Jonah, that's me, was seated between Grandma and a rotating chair, which I can only assume meant emotional exile. So yeah, that's where we were. One brunch away from polite catastrophe. Rachel was rehearsing her perfect toast. Mark was coordinating a surprise photo slideshow. Mom was quietly building an expectation bomb made of flaky pastry and thinly veiled martyrdom. And me? I was sitting in my kitchen, staring at a blank card, trying to decide if I should go with dry wit, brutal honesty, or just draw a giant heart with the word sorry inside it. I should have gone with the heart, but I didn't. And that's when the fuse really got lit. The thing about brunch at my mom's house is that it always smells amazing and feels like a hostage situation with a cheese board. The table was perfect. Lavender table runner, floral china that only comes out when someone dies or turns a multiple of 5. Individual napkin rings shaped like little birds, very springtime cult, but make it Martha Stewart. Mom was glowing, the way only someone who has both suffered and orchestrated their own suffering can. I didn't even do that much, she said, wiping sweat off her temple as she adjusted her 4th tray of croissants. Rachel was already tipsy on her 2nd mimosa, showing Mom a personalized affirmation jar with little rolled-up messages like, "You are the lighthouse to our stormy hearts." Mark had printed out a list of spa treatments like he was presenting her a business proposal. "You'll love this place, Mom. They use cucumbers from a private garden or something. It's pretentious but effective." Everyone oohed, and not like we were at a baby shower for a moderately famous influencer. And then it was my turn. "Jonah, do you have the card?" Mom asked sweetly, already reaching out her hand like this was about to be a moment. I pulled it from my back pocket and handed it over without a word. There was a pause, the kind of silence you get before a plane crash. Rachel leaned in, smiling. Mark crossed his arms like he was already prepared to be underwhelmed. Mom opened it slowly. "Read the first line." Her smile flickered. Kept reading. Then came the face. The slow blink. The mouth tightening like a drawstring bag on a panic attack. Here's what I wrote. "Dear Mom, happy birthday to the most emotionally resilient woman I know. Because surviving 3 kids, 5 decades of passive aggression, and your own Pinterest expectations is nothing short of legendary. You've taught us so much. How to sigh just loud enough to cause guilt. That fine means literally anything but. And that cleaning the kitchen angrily is a love language. We love you, even when you weaponize your lasagna. Thanks for raising us with just the right blend of love, control, and unsolicited advice. With affection and minor emotional scarring. Your children." Dictated by Jonah, who will probably be uninvited to future holidays. She stared at the page for a solid 15 seconds. Then she put the card down like it was covered in something toxic and said, in the softest voice imaginable, "So this is how my children see me." Rachel gasped. Like, hands to her mouth gasp. Mark let out an audible yikes. Grandma whispered, "I've said worse." Mom stood up, slowly, like a ghost rising from a Victorian fainting couch. I thought this year would be different," she said, staring at her quiche like it had personally betrayed her. "Mom," I said, "it's a joke. You asked me to write it. You said get creative. That's literally what I did." "I thought you'd write something meaningful," she said, eyes glossy. "Not sarcastic. Not cruel." "It's not cruel," I said. "It's true. Maybe a little sharp, but come on, you have to admit, sighing as a weapon is kind of legendary." Mark jumped in. "You could have just said thank you. Or written a poem or something." "Oh right, like your spa menu was dripping with sincerity," I snapped. Rachel cut in. "Jonah, this was Mom's birthday. You made it about you." "No," I said, standing up now. "I made it about reality. Sorry if that doesn't match the lavender aesthetic." Mom was now fanning herself with the card, like the words were physically heating the room. "I need some air," she said, and walked outside in slow motion like she was waiting for background piano music to start playing. And there I was, still standing, fork in one hand, mimosa in the other, surrounded by my furious siblings and a table full of uneaten muffins. But all I could think was, Jesus, it's just a card. You ever watch a wine glass tip in slow motion and know you can't stop it? That was me, standing in the middle of my mom's birthday brunch while the emotional wine glass shattered. Except instead of glass, it was everyone's mental stability. She came back inside 5 minutes later, eyes red, card still clutched in one hand like a war document. Didn't say a word. Just sat down, sighed once. One deep, theatrical sigh, and let the silence build like tension in a horror movie. Rachel broke first. "Jonah," she said, voice tight, "you seriously couldn't hold back for one day? One day where it wasn't about your sarcasm or your little jokes?" "It wasn't just a joke," I snapped. "It was a card with personality. Sorry, I didn't write a haiku about her lemon bars and saint-like patience." Mark jumped in. "You're so bitter it's exhausting. You ruin everything with your 'I'm above it all' attitude." You think we don't notice? Oh, I know you notice, I said. You bring it up every damn family gathering. Usually after 3 IPAs and a story about how you almost got promoted. Rachel leaned across the table. You're the only one who didn't contribute a real gift. That card? That was a hit piece with a pastel border. Mom, still quiet, suddenly let out a laugh. A sharp one. Like a bark. None of you contributed anything, she said. And boom, new conflict unlocked. What? Rachel blinked, stunned. I made you an affirmation jar. I saw it on Etsy last year, Mom said flatly. You copied it. Mark raised his hands. Okay, let's not do this. Oh no, she cut in. Let's. You didn't even write a message with your spa voucher. You printed a receipt and stuck it in an envelope. No card. No note. Just a price tag. Rachel's voice rose. That's not fair. I spend hours on my gift. Oh please, Mom said. You wrote, "You're enough" 20 times on construction paper and put it in a recycled candle jar. Mark snorted. Rachel spun on him. What are you laughing at? You once gave her a birthday card that said, "Thanks for the jeans." You're not exactly Mr. Sentiment. Mark shot back. At least I didn't emotionally wound her with a novelty roast. You're both ridiculous, Mom said. I planned this entire brunch alone. Set the table. Cooked the food. Coordinated the guest list. You all just showed up and made it about yourselves. For one terrifying second, everyone was yelling over everyone. And then, they all turned back to me. Rachel pointed. This all started because of that card. Mark nodded. You lit the fuse. Own it. You all asked me to write it, I shouted. You gave me creative control. Creative control doesn't mean emotional sabotage. Rachel fired back. Mom put down her fork like it was a gavel. Jonah, I think you should go. I stared at her. You're serious. She nodded. You've clearly got a lot of feelings to work through. And I don't need that on my birthday. Rachel folded her arms. Mark crossed his. They looked smug. Unified. Victorious. I stood there, humiliated, trembling with anger. I grabbed my coat. Grandma muttered, well, this is all bullsh. But no one heard her over the tension. I walked out the door. And behind me, I heard Mom sigh again and say, why is it always Jonah? Good question, Mom. Let me know if the answer ever shows up in one of those affirmation jars. So there I was, standing on the front lawn in dress shoes that pinched, holding a half-empty mimosa in a plastic cup, watching the front door of my childhood home close behind me like I'd just been evicted from a cult with matching napkin rings. I didn't yell, didn't cry, just stood there blinking in the afternoon sun, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. I got kicked out of my mom's birthday party for writing a card. A card, not a manifesto, not a death threat. A birthday card with a few jokes and maybe some light emotional commentary. And now? Blocked. Rachel blocked me. Mark blocked me. Mom didn't even text, just removed me from the group chat like I was a spam bot selling foot pics. Even the dog's Instagram unfollowed me, which felt personal. Only one name still lit up green on my phone, Grandma Lou. And 5 minutes after I hit the sidewalk, she called me. Sweetheart, you got a minute? She asked, like I wasn't literally standing on a curb holding a party favor bag full of guilt and cold brew soap. Sure, I said, trying to keep my voice from cracking. I just want to say, she continued, I read that card. I fished it out of the trash when they weren't looking. My stomach dropped. Oh God, did it really sound that harsh? Honey, she said, it was the funniest thing I've read in years. I laughed so hard my glasses steamed up. I paused. Wait, you liked it? Hell yes, I liked it. You nailed Barbara's passive-aggressive casserole energy. You know she used to scold me for not folding towels into thirds? And I'm her mother. I laughed. First real laugh all day. Look, Grandma said, the rest of them? They're allergic to honesty unless it's wrapped in glitter and denial. You told the truth. With a punchline. And now they're punishing you for being the only one with working emotional Wi-Fi. Thanks, Grandma. I muttered. Really? She exhaled. You know what I think? I think we need to teach them all a lesson. I blinked. You mean like, emotionally? No, Jonah. I mean revenge. I swear I heard her sip tea after she said it. Grandma, what kind of revenge are we talking about? The delicious kind. Petty. Public. With sprinkles of psychological warfare. Something that makes them uncomfortable, but also forces them to reflect. So, like, emotional theater? Exactly, she said. But with taste. She already had ideas. She's modern. Sharp. The kind of woman who calls her iPad the gossip machine and refers to Facebook as Boomer Tinder. We'll give them something to talk about. Because if they're going to turn family love into a competition, then we're going to stage a hostile takeover. I couldn't believe it. My sweet 80-something grandmother had just gone full chaos agent. And I loved it. So, she said, You in? Or are you gonna sit on the curb like a rejected Hallmark employee? I looked up at the house, at the closed door, at the people inside who threw me out for saying the quiet part out loud. Then I smiled. I'm in. Let the games begin. So I thought I was just going to vent to Grandma, maybe split a bottle of wine, throw around some creative insults about family dynamics, and then crawl back into obscurity. But Grandma Lou had other plans. This family, she said, sipping from a wine glass that said, age gets better with wine, has gotten so obsessed with image that they've forgotten one very basic fact. What fact? I asked. She leaned in, eyes twinkling with malicious wisdom. I know where the bodies are buried. And then she opened the folder. It was real. A thick, overstuffed manila folder labeled in her perfect cursive. In case they piss me off, Volume 1. Inside were photos, documents, letters, receipts, things I did not need to see but also couldn't look away from. There were photos of Mom in her 70s perm glory, holding a protest sign that read, "No nukes, but yes to weed." A scan of Mark's middle school report card, D and Jim, F in cooperation. An email thread between Rachel and her ex where she said she was only going into psychology to decode my crazy family. Grandma had been collecting dirt, not just gossip, evidence. And now, she was ready to use it. The plan? Simple, elegant, devastating. Family newsletter. She'd write it. I'd format it. We'd mail it to the entire extended family, including the cousins we only see at funerals and the great-aunt who once faked a fainting spell for attention. A glossy, cheerful-looking family update that would start off innocent. Barbara turned 61 this month, and quickly spiral into a full-blown roast session dressed as a holiday recap. Excerpts included. Rachel recently got a promotion at her therapy job, where she helps people cope with overbearing mothers. Wonder where she got the inspiration. Mark continues to impress everyone with his strong opinions and moderate accomplishments. Still doing CrossFit, still thinks it's a personality. Jonah, bless him, was kicked out of the birthday brunch after writing the only card that didn't include a receipt. Brave boy. The final paragraph was pure grandma. Barbara remains the glue holding this family together, which explains why everyone feels stuck and mildly irritated. When we finished it, Grandma printed 75 copies, sealed them with little smiley face stickers, and mailed them out on her own dime. 3 days later, hell erupted. Rachel called sobbing, demanding to know, what the fuck was that? Mark emailed a 500-word statement about libel and brand damage. Mom showed up to Grandma's house in tears. You humiliated me, she said, clutching a crumpled copy of the newsletter like it had physically assaulted her. People called me. Your sisters called me. Aunt Ruth asked if I was drinking again. Grandma didn't flinch. You threw your son out of your house for a card, she said, voice calm as an executioner's. I just thought the rest of the family should know what a warm, welcoming household you run. I can't believe you did this, Mom whispered. I can, I said, stepping into view. You should have just laughed at the card, Mom. It was easier. Mark and Rachel showed up an hour later, less angry now, more shaken. Like soldiers returning from a failed mission. They didn't apologize. Of course not. That would require reflection. But they did that weird thing where people act nicer just to avoid being the next headline. Mom hugged me on her way out. A stiff, sad, pity hug. I just didn't expect this from you, she murmured. I leaned in. Me neither. She walked to the car. Grandma turned to me and grinned. You think they'll block me too? Honestly, I think they're too scared. We stood on the porch, drinking lukewarm coffee, watching the fallout settle over the cul-de-sac. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was something better. Power. It's wild how fast people start acting right once they realize you're holding the detonator and Grandma's got more ammo. Suddenly, I'm getting texts again. Rachel accidentally unblocked me. Mark sent a message that was 90% disclaimers and 10% apology-scented emoji salad. Mom invited me to dinner with the emotional equivalent of a restraining order wrapped in a casserole. And me? I said yes. Because I wanted to talk. Not with my usual sarcasm. Not with restraint. Not anymore. So we met up. Mom made spaghetti. Rachel brought some kind of weird detox tea that smelled like moss. Mark showed up in gym clothes like he thought this was a courtroom deposition that might turn into hot yoga. And I walked in like a man who had stopped caring whether the emotional tablecloth matched the silverware. I think we should talk, Mom said cautiously. Yeah, I said. I've been waiting 30 years. They all froze. Mark tried a joke. We gonna debrief the roast of Barbara 2023? Not exactly, I said. We're gonna debrief why it took a public newsletter and a scorched earth grandma for any of you to take me seriously. Silence. Not even a fork clink. You want to know why I wrote that card the way I did? I said, Because it was the first time in years I was asked to speak for the whole family. And for once, I didn't want to lie. Mom shifted in her seat. It just felt like an attack. It felt like therapy, I said. It felt like finally saying, hey, maybe we're not perfect, but we're real, and we can laugh about it. But instead, I got blocked, erased, like I was the infection, not the symptom. Rachel spoke next. You've always acted like you're better than us. No, I said. I've always acted like I'm in a different movie. You two are playing Leave It to Beaver, and I'm trapped in a Wes Anderson script where no one makes eye contact and everyone's low-key spiraling. Mark laughed, then stopped when I looked at him. And you? I said. You only call when you need to feel superior. You pretend we're close, but you don't know a damn thing about me that isn't a punchline. He looked away. I turned to Mom. I've spent years trying to prove that I'm not the problem, that maybe I just see the problems more clearly. And every time I try to say it out loud, you act like I'm ruining the party. Tears welled in her eyes. Real ones. For the first time, they weren't performative. You could have just said something, she whispered. I did, I said. For years. You just didn't like the format. Then I stood up. I'm not writing any more family cards, I said. Not unless they come with footnotes and hazard pay. I walked out again. But this time, not angry. Just done waiting for permission to be myself. Grandma was waiting in the car. She handed me a thermos of spiked cider and muttered, "That's my boy." And for the first time in a long time, I felt something dangerous and unfamiliar. Peace. A week passed after the dinner. No texts. No calls. Just space. And silence. The kind that used to make me panic. Now, it felt like air. Grandma and I started a tradition. Every night, we drank tea, hers spiked, mine slowly becoming spiked too, and watched old game shows while she made snarky comments like, "Family Feud's got nothing on us. At least those people win money." Then yesterday, Mom showed up. No text. No warning. Just a knock on Grandma's door, and there she was, holding a shoebox and looking like she hadn't slept since 1987. "Can I come in?" she asked, voice small. Grandma didn't say a word, just tilted her head toward me and walked into the kitchen, giving us space like the chaos general she is. "I brought something," Mom said. She handed me the box. I opened it. Inside were every card I'd ever given her. Crayon scribbles. Sloppy middle school sarcasm. Birthday doodles from my broke college years. Even the Father's Day card I accidentally gave her that one time because I grabbed the wrong envelope and just crossed out Dad. She'd kept them. All of them. I read them all again, she said, eyes glistening. "You've always been trying to say something. I just wasn't listening." I didn't say anything. "I think I wanted everything to look like love," she said, "even when it wasn't. And when you showed me something honest, I panicked. Because if it didn't match the script in my head, I didn't know what to do with it." "And the birthday brunch," I said carefully. "The exile? The newsletter fallout?" She gave a half laugh, half sigh. Grandma's newsletter was war crime adjacent, sure, but effective. She pulled something from her pocket. A card. "I wrote you one this time. It wasn't perfect. It rambled." She wrote in cursive she clearly hadn't used since the Bush administration. But it was real. "Dear Jonah, I didn't know how to love the version of you I didn't understand. But I'm trying now. I want to learn your language, even if it comes with sarcasm and some deeply scathing truths. You're funny, brilliant, and terrifyingly insightful. I see it now. And I'm sorry I made you feel like the odd one out. Love, Mom. P.S. Your card was hilarious." Grandma read it to me over wine. I cried. Then I laughed. In that order. And just like that, I cracked. Not all the way. Not back to holiday photo levels. But enough. Later that week, Rachel messaged me. No apology, just a meme. But a good one. "Mark sent me a picture of his kids with the caption, 'They've inherited your sarcasm. We're doomed.' And I still don't trust them fully. But I'm not out in the cold anymore." Turns out, family isn't about getting the script right. It's about surviving the bloopers together. And if they ever forget, well, Grandma's working on volume 2. God help us all.